Okay, so let's talk about gaff cards and how to make gaff cards. If you saw my last tutorial, we used a double back card but with two different designs. Let's have a look at how to make some gaff cards. Okay, so playing cards have 3 layers in each card. So for this we're gonna just use 2 jokers. I recommend using jokers to start off with, just because most people don't use the jokers, and then if you ruin it, it doesn't matter, it's not an actual playing card. So you're going to need a hard surface, and you're going to tap one of the corners quite a few times so we can get the card to just split on the end. Then you could stick your nail underneath. Now I'll try and get this on the camera to show you the 3 different layers. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that, but that's now split into 3 different layers, and the layer that you want to keep you're going to have facing the bottom. So for the example, I'm going to keep the blue layer to make my double back card, so I'm going to peel the 2 other layers away from it. So we're just going to make a little bit of a split. Once you get into this position, if you carry on doing it like that, the odds are you're probably going to tear the blue section. So you need to rest it on something hard, and then place your fingers underneath, slowly just separating the other 2 layers away from the blue section. We just finish that off. Just going around the card. Okay, so I've rushed that a little bit, and you can see that I have actually left part of the 2nd layer or 3rd layer even still on the card there. The rest of the card is fine. So just to get rid of that, we are just going to peel it very softly again so we get the card lying flat. Okay, so once we've teared one section off, you can see how the card becomes a little bit warped, how it's not lying nice and flat. What you're going to do with this is put it on a edge again. So for example, my card is leaning kind of that direction, so I'm just going to rest against a corner and just slowly put it against the edge. It's very soft. If I go too much, you can see how it turns into the other way. It's only very soft then until you get a nice flat card. That should be lying a lot flatter than before now. 1 layer of the blue deck. So now I need to save 2 layers with the red design. So that means I'm going to need to get rid of the joker back. So the same again, just tapping it, get the edges to split. I just want the 1 layer this time. If that happens, I want to try to keep as much of these 2 layers as I can, so I'm going to start from the other end again. And you can just bin all that part, all the excess. Same again, I want to flatten that card. Now we have a card which has 2 layers on it and 1 thin layer. So all we have to do now is apply those together to get the double back card. Okay, so to get these cards completely lying flat and to get a perfect design, you can buy a clamp which will just lock the card into place, leave it flat in there, leave it for a few hours, and it'll be perfectly flat. Now, I know most people won't have that, so I'm not going to go into detail about that. However, what you can do is stick that in a book and put something heavy on it, and then leave it overnight, and it'll make it nice and flat for when you see it into the next morning. For this case, I am just going to do it straight away. It's reasonably flat, not perfect though. So to stick these together, you can use double-sided tape and just apply the back and stick them together. However, depending on where you live, if you get very hot conditions and stuff, the glue on the double-sided tape might just spread those cards apart and get them a little bit warped, so they won't look the best. Instead, we're going to use rubber cement. Now, magicians use rubber cement all the time. It's great stuff. So what is rubber cement? It's just like this glue. And how to use it. So what we're going to do is get a good amount of rubber cement and just apply it all over the card, especially the edges. So we want to make sure all the edges are stuck together. And make sure to get plenty amount on the card. Don't worry if it goes onto your fingers or anything, doesn't make a difference. You want to make sure you're using something as well underneath, like a board. I've just got a chopping board, which an old one that I'm not going to use again. You can use anything, because you want to make sure you're going over the edges. And you want to do that on both sides of the cards. So let's apply it onto this one now. Making sure all the corners are plenty on. So just going to leave that for a few seconds just to dry, not too long, and then put it just on a section where I haven't put the glue on. You can see how the card's not perfectly flat, so it might not come out as good as normal, but it should still do its job. So we're now going to apply the card onto the corners as good as possible. And the good thing with rubber cement is that once it's on, you can still take it off, slide it back on to get the perfect position. That looks pretty close. I'm just going to rub my finger along it so you can see how I've missed the edge just there a little bit, so it's overhanging on this side. So I'm just going to move that, just slide it over very slightly. Okay, so that looks about done. So I have a little bit of glue hanging off on the edges, which you can just rub away. Rubber cement's nice and easy to use, just rub it away. So it's not a perfectly shaped card at the moment, but all I'm going to do now is just leave that in a clamp, or you can leave it in a book, something heavy on it, pick it up tomorrow morning and it will be nice and flat. And that's how you make your double back card, or make any gaff card. So gaff cards don't have to be just two cards stuck onto the back of each other, just gaffing it to make a double back card. You can use it for many ideas. So for example, half and half, or it's a cool little one. You get, instead of using the backs, use the front of the cards. So you can use this for a trick. Get three people, force these cards on them. You take those three cards, just turn it over, and you get the three aces. Just a little bit of sleight of hand, and all it is get into this position. You've probably seen that move quite often, and you get the three aces. You can also make a blank card, which can be used for many things. You can also move the little pips and stuff on the card just to moving them around. You can print off anything you want just to make some little cards. Just doing the edge, so you could do like a little poker hand, for example. Let's grab the other 3. So you're playing poker, you show your hand, more for table magic. Show everyone your hand, make sure the other person can beat you, but then when you turn it over again, you can then spread it and show that you've actually got a pair in your hand. All you got to do is just cover that edge. Got a few other designs as well. Half and half again, putting some pips close together, some blank royal cards, so on, so on. So you get the idea. Now those type of cards, you can make them yourself, or you can go to Ellusionist and buy the Gaff system itself. However, it is quite expensive. I think a pack of Gaffs probably around 20 or 30 pounds, so it's up to you. I like Gaff cards. I think it makes your magic up to the next level and spectators just don't see it coming. Just quickly before we finish, let's have a look at how to make one of these cards where you just need the corner or something like that on the other card. So what you're going to do is get a Stanley knife, and for example, let's just gaff this 3. Normally you use a ruler, but I'm just going to do it just for explanation purposes, just like that. So it's made a little edge on there. Now you don't want to do it too deep, otherwise you'll go through the whole card. I've only done it soft, and that's gone lightly through the card, and you should then now easily be able to peel that top corner where you've cut it. You can see how the card starts to split. You want to be careful with this, depending on which part you want to save. For example, I want to save the bigger part here. However, I could use this little 3 again for something else. So I've just saved both parts there. So now I could do the same on this one and then stick the 3 on there and cut the 2 out and put the 2 on there. You get the idea. So when getting the 2 out, what you want to do is put some double-sided tape, I would, just on that card. Just do a little pencil line so you can see where to cut it exactly, because you want it to be exactly the same size. Cut that, peel, same again, stick onto there. And really it's just what your imagination comes to. You can do whatever you want with all these Gaff cards, and like I said, personally I think it all looks great. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. See you again.